Hey everybody, it's Sod McBump coming back at you with a commentary of sorts on my opinions on a user on YouTube by the name of Toby Turner, aka Tobuscus. Now, I'm going to sound a little bit biased because, yes, before this incident a couple weeks ago, which, for those of you who don't know, one of Tobuscus's ex, aka April, she made a very, very long and elaborate post on Tumblr detailing and describing a horrific act of rape where Tobuscus, or Toby in this case, drugged her and then raped her. And it was very detailed, very described, and it talked about, everything he did and that night and how abusive he was. And then a couple weeks later, or a couple days maybe, like I said, I'm not very researched on this. I did enough research to where I think just to have an opinion, but my research is limited. So if there is new evidence that comes out that supposes otherwise of what I'm saying, I apologize in advance. I don't normally try to cover a lot of things like gossip because I don't really like it. I have made other videos in the past about, or one video in the past about another particular user, and even though it did get a lot of views, at the same time, I really don't like getting myself involved in too much controversy. But I feel like it needs to be said here. Now, what April is accusing of Tobuscus of is a very, very vile and very, very horrific act, and it's an act of downright stripping a person of their human rights. But, you added in that but there. It is horrible, but no substantial evidence has revealed itself yet to definitively say whether Toby Turner is guilty or innocent. And the problem with this whole situation is she made this reveal on Tumblr. Years after the incident supposedly occurred. Why not go to a police station and go get a rape kit and find out whether or not this actually happened? Because you're drugged, your memory can kind of get foggy sometimes. Or why not go to some place where you can prove that this happened instead of years later make a post on Tumblr, which isn't a site that is credited with any lawful significance. It is not a police station. It is not a lawyer. It is not a hospital where they can test you to see if it happened. This is years later on a random website. And that was my first problem with it. My second problem with hearing the story was Molly, the drug that Tobuscus supposedly used on April. She said that it made her drowsy. It made her, basically she was saying he used it as the rape drug. But here's the thing about Molly, and I found out this from a video that I'm going to link in the description below. Molly is not a drug that causes someone to black out. Molly is not a drug that causes you to be drowsy or weak or not perceptive. Molly is a stimulant used at raves and at parties. Yes, it makes you feel a little weird, but other than that, it's boosts sexual pleasure. It boosts all these different things. So if Toby Turner was going to use this as a rape drug, it kind of doesn't make any sense because you can't even really use it like a rape drug. It doesn't make someone go to sleep or anything. So in all reality, her claim kind of contradicts what science says is possible. And here's my last little bit. So many people came out, right after April came out and said, oh yeah, he's like this, he's a cheater, he's a drug abuser, he's this, he's that, he's the other. And I don't know Tobuscus in his real life. I can't make a claim that, he doesn't do these drugs, or he is an abusive person, or I can't make these claims because there's no evidence to support against it or for it. But where I have problems is that isn't what we're arguing right now. What we're arguing is whether or not he committed this act of rape. And the problem is that if this is a false claim, a claim that will not have any evidence, a claim that will not have any significance in court, a claim that will be impossible to back up, then we are safe to assume that she lied. And lying about rape, in my opinion, is almost as bad as actually doing it. Because you are putting someone else on the spot. You are making it almost impossible for that person, even if it comes back that he didn't do anything. There's no evidence to back it up. There's actually evidence against her claims. People don't see that. People don't see, on feminist videos that Tobuscus was, accused of rape. No, they see Tobuscus committed rape. They don't care whether there is evidence to support it or not, because all the feminazis jumped on with April, and there was no evidence. And you might say, oh, the screenshot with Tobuscus when it said Tobes, that was enough. That was evidence enough. We saw it all. Well, just to prove to you guys that isn't evidence, here are a couple of mine. Yeah, you can make all these all you want. There's an app for it. There's several apps for it. All these are fake conversations with celebrities. Barack Obama. William Turner from Pirates of the Caribbean. You can make whatever the flip you want up. And you might say, oh, the timestamps call it away. Well, this is the first option I picked. I'm sure there are several options that allow you to have separate timestamps, and I bet there's even websites that you can make them from. So in all reality, a text does not prove anything, unless you have the text record, maybe, because that stuff you can't fake. That stuff's real. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. What if he did? Well, what if he did, he deserves jail time. As someone who understands how crippling sexual assault can be, he deserves jail time if he did it. If he did it, he deserves the same thing that happened to him. If it turns out he did it, I won't get involved anymore, like I'll apologize or anything, but I will gladly say if he did this act, then he deserves everything he's going to get, and if they can prove it. But I live in a country where still, maybe it's not as enforced as once, but still, we are to assume someone is innocent until proven guilty. That's all for today, folks. If you like this little talk, slap that like button and leave a comment. Tell me what you liked. If you didn't like this part, slap that dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like. Tell me how I can get better. If you really like this, hit subscribe and wait for more videos. Until next time, I'm Big Bump, signing off.